Hello, everyone, and welcome back, Real English Voices. I'm so happy to be sitting here today with you, Ria. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, Tom. Honestly, I am feeling really calm today, which is actually perfect because of the topic we decided to talk about. It is a topic that I think every single person listening to us right now has struggled with at some point.
I know I certainly have. In fact, I was struggling with it last night.
Really? What happened?
Well, that is the thing. Nothing actually happened. It was all in my head. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and my brain just would not shut off. I was replaying a conversation I had 3 days ago, wondering if I said the wrong thing, and then I started worrying about a project due next week. It was exhausting.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. We call that the midnight spiral. It is when you pull one loose thread in your mind and suddenly the whole sweater unravels. Today, we are talking about exactly that. We are talking about overthinking, how to stop it, how to control it, and specifically, how overthinking ruins your progress when you're learning to speak English.
That is such a huge point. I think overthinking is actually the #1 enemy of fluency. You know, we have listeners who know so much vocabulary. They know all the grammar rules. They can read perfect English. But when it's time to speak, they freeze.
Exactly. They freeze because the overthinking kicks in. They're thinking, did I use the right preposition? Is my accent okay? What if they laugh at me? It's this paralysis by analysis. You analyze so much that you cannot take any action. So, Tom, let's dive deep into this. Why do we do this? Why do we torture ourselves with these thoughts?
I think it comes down to fear. We want to be perfect. We are terrified of making a mistake or looking foolish. I remember when I was first learning to drive. I was so focused on every single mechanical movement that I was a terrible driver. I was overthinking the steering wheel. But now, I just drive. I do not think about it.
That is a great comparison. With English, or really with life in general, we think that if we worry enough, we can control the outcome. We think that if we replay a scenario in our heads 100 times, we can fix it. But the truth is, worrying doesn't change the outcome. It just steals your joy from the present moment.
Wow, that is powerful. Worrying does not change the outcome. It just steals your joy from the present moment. I need to remember that. But Ria, it's so hard to stop. When the thoughts start coming, it feels like a flood. You can't just tell your brain to stop. Or can you?
Well, you can't just say stop and expect it to work like a light switch, but you can change the channel. Imagine your brain is a television. Overthinking is like watching a really scary or depressing movie on repeat. You're sitting there, watching it, feeling terrible. You have the remote control in your hand, but you forget you're holding it. You have to realize you have the power to change the channel to something else.
I like that visualization. So, practically speaking, how do we change the channel? Let's say I'm a student listening to this podcast. I have a job interview in English tomorrow. I'm sitting at home, shaking, thinking I'm going to fail. I'm overthinking every possible question they might ask. What do I do?
Okay, this is a very real situation. First, you have to acknowledge the thought. Don't fight it. Just say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling nervous. That's normal. But then you have to move from your head into your body. Overthinking happens entirely in the mind. You need to ground yourself.
Ground yourself. What does that mean exactly?
It means connecting to the physical world right now. Look around the room. Name 5 things you can see. Touch the fabric of your chair. Listen to the traffic outside. When you force your senses to work, your brain has to stop the spiral to process the new information. It breaks the loop.
That's actually really helpful. It brings you back to the present. Because overthinking is usually about the past or the future, right? It's rarely about right now.
Precisely. If you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. If you are at peace, you're living in the present. When we speak English, overthinking puts us in the future. We're trying to predict the other person's reaction before we have even opened our mouth.
And that destroys the flow of conversation. A conversation is like a dance. You have to follow the other person. If you're thinking about your next 3 steps while the other person is still moving, you're going to step on their toes.
I love that metaphor. You really are going to step on their toes. I have seen this happen with English learners. Someone asks them simply, "How was your weekend?" And I can see their eyes darting around. They're thinking, "Okay, I went to the park, so I need the past tense of go, which is went, and the park is a place, so do I say to the park or at the park?" By the time they figure it out, the moment has passed. The connection is broken.
So, in that context, stopping overthinking means accepting that good enough is actually perfect.
Yes. Perfectionism is just overthinking disguised as quality control. It is a trap. If you say, "I go to park yesterday," is it grammatically correct? No. Did I understand you? Yes, absolutely. The goal of language is connection, not perfection. If you can stop overthinking the grammar, you can focus on the human being in front of you.
That is such a relief to hear. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves. We're our own harshest critics. I would never judge a friend as harshly as I judge myself.
Never. If your friend made a mistake, you would say, "Oh, no worries, try again." But when we make a mistake, we tell ourselves, "Ah, I am so stupid, I will never learn this." We have to change that internal dialogue. We have to be kinder to ourselves.
I think that applies to everything, not just language. I was reading about the 5-second rule recently. Have you heard of it?
Is that the rule about dropping food on the floor?
No, not that one. Although I do use that one too sometimes. No, this is a psychological trick. It says that if you have an impulse to do something, you have 5 seconds to physically move and take action before your brain kills the idea.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
So, let's say you see someone you want to talk to in English, maybe a tourist or a colleague. Your first instinct is, go say hello. But then, within 5 seconds, your brain starts overthinking. It says, what if they're busy? What if my English is bad? So the trick is, the moment you have the thought, you count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you just go. You move your feet.
I love that. You are basically outrunning your own fear. You are taking action before the doubt can settle in. That is brilliant for our listeners. Next time you want to practice your English, do not give yourself time to think. Just open your mouth and speak.
Right. It is about building a habit of action. Overthinking is a habit of hesitation. The more you hesitate, the better you get at hesitating. The more you act, the better you get at acting.
That is so true. You know, Tom, another thing that causes overthinking is caring too much about what other people think. We construct this idea that everyone is watching us. We call it the spotlight effect. We think there is a spotlight on us and everyone is analyzing our every move.
Oh, I definitely suffer from that. If I trip on the sidewalk, I feel like the whole street saw it and is laughing.
Exactly. But the reality is, everyone else is walking down the street thinking about their own problems. They are thinking about their dinner or their job or their own insecurities. They aren't thinking about you. It sounds a bit harsh, but it is actually very liberating. Nobody cares as much as you think they do.
That is incredibly liberating. So if I make a mistake in English, the other person probably won't even remember it 5 minutes later?
They probably won't even notice it in the moment. They are listening to the content of what you're saying, not the structure. Unless you're taking an exam, nobody is grading you. In real life, people just want to communicate.
So let's talk about some more solutions. We have grounding yourself in the present. We have the 5-second rule for taking action. What else can help us stop this mental noise?
Writing. I cannot stress this enough. Writing is magical. When you keep thoughts in your head, they loop. They go round and get bigger and scarier. When you write them down on paper, you get them out of your system. You make them tangible.
Like journaling?
Yes, journaling. If you're worried about something, write it down. Read it back to yourself. Usually, when you see it on paper, it looks much smaller than it felt in your head. You can look at it and say, oh, that's actually solvable, or that is silly.
And for our listeners, doing this in English is a double win. You get the therapeutic benefit of writing, and you get to practice your writing skills.
Absolutely. Try to write down 3 things you are overthinking about right now. Then, write down one solution for each. If there is no solution, write down, I cannot control this, so I will let it go.
I cannot control this, so I will let it go. That is a mantra right there. You know, sometimes overthinking comes from having too many choices. I get paralyzed when I have to make a decision, even just choosing a restaurant.
The paradox of choice. We think having more options is better, but it actually makes us more anxious because we are afraid of making the wrong choice. We overthink the menu. Should I get the pasta? But the salad looks good. What if the pasta's cold?
That is me. I read every review online before I buy anything. I spend 3 hours researching a $10 item. It is ridiculous.
So the solution there is to satisfy, not maximize. Don't try to make the absolute perfect decision every time. Just make a good decision, a good enough decision. Pick the pasta. If it is not great, well, you'll eat something else tomorrow. It is not life or death.
I think that brings us back to the concept of perspective. We tend to blow things out of proportion. We make mountains out of molehills.
We do. One technique I use is the 10-10-10 rule.
I haven't heard of that one. What is the 10-10-10 rule?
When you are stressing about something, ask yourself, will this matter in 10 minutes? Will this matter in 10 months? Will this matter in 10 years? Usually the answer to the last one is almost always no.
That is great. So if I fumbled my words when ordering coffee today, will it matter in 10 minutes? Maybe a little embarrassment. In 10 months? No. In 10 years? Definitely not.
Exactly. It puts everything in its proper place. Most of the things we overthink are temporary. They're fleeting moments. Why give them permanent space in your brain?
You know, Ria, listening to you talk about this makes me feel lighter already. It's just good to know that we're not alone in this. Everyone does it. Even native English speakers overthink what they say.
Oh, constantly. I replay conversations all the time. I think, why did I say that joke? Nobody laughed. It was awkward. But then I remind myself, Ria, let it go. Be kind to yourself.
Let's talk about the physical aspect of overthinking, too. I notice that when I'm in my head, I stop breathing properly. My shoulders go up to my ears.
Yes, the body holds the tension. Sometimes you cannot solve the problem with your mind. You have to solve it with your body. Go for a run. Take a cold shower. Dance in your kitchen. Shake it off. Literally, when you move your body, you change your blood chemistry. You release endorphins. It is very hard to overthink when you are sprinting or lifting something heavy.
That is so true. I always feel mentally clearer after the gym. It's like hitting the reset button on my brain. So for our listeners, if you're feeling stuck in your English studies or you're just feeling overwhelmed by life, close the textbook, stand up, go for a walk, put on your favorite song.
Yes, do not force it. Learning should be a joy, not a burden. If you are overthinking your study plan, wondering if you are using the right method or the right book, stop. Just enjoy the language. Watch a movie you love in English. Listen to a podcast like this one. Just let it wash over you.
I want to touch on one more thing before we start to wrap up. The idea of failure. We overthink because we are afraid to fail, but failure is actually necessary, isn't it?
Failure is not just necessary, it is the only way to learn. You cannot learn to walk without falling down. You cannot learn to ride a bike without scraping your knees. And you cannot learn a language without making mistakes. Every mistake is a data point. It tells you what to improve.
So we should actually embrace the mistakes. We should be happy when we find one.
In a way, yes. A mistake means you tried. A mistake means you stepped out of your comfort zone. The only true failure is staying silent because you were too afraid to speak.
Not as powerful. The only true failure is silence. I hope everyone listening writes that down.
Tom, I want to ask you, what is one thing you are going to do this week to stop overthinking?
That is a good question. I think I am going to try the 5-second rule. There is a phone call I've been putting off because I'm worried about how the conversation will go. I'm going to just pick up the phone and dial before I can talk myself out of it. What about you?
I am going to practice the 10-10-10 rule. I have a lot of small decisions to make for work, and I have been procrastinating. I am going to remind myself that these decisions won't matter in 10 years, so I should just make them and move on.
It sounds like we have a plan. And to our listeners, we want you to have a plan too. We want you to catch yourself. The next time you find yourself staring at the ceiling at midnight or freezing up before you speak English, catch it. Say, I'm doing it again. I'm overthinking.
And then take a deep breath. Ground yourself in the present. Look at something beautiful. Listen to the sounds around you and remember that you are doing great. You are learning, you are growing, and you are enough, just as you are.
You do not need to be perfect to be amazing. Your English does not need to be flawless to be beautiful. It just needs to be yours.
We hope this conversation has helped quiet the noise in your head a little bit today. We hope it gave you permission to relax and just be yourself.
As always, thank you so much for listening to Real English Voices. We appreciate every single one of you. If you found this helpful, maybe share it with a friend who also thinks too much. It might help them too.
And remember, don't think about subscribing. Just use the 5-second rule and click the button. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I love it. Good one, Ria.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, everyone. Take care of your minds, be kind to yourselves, and keep speaking.
Keep speaking and stop overthinking. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Goodbye.